as a counselor to different offices at the Ministry of Defense in 1999. Infantry officer, he was commissioned as an infantry officer in 1998. Graduated from Voluntary Reserve Officers Course of Estonia. Then he made master study in Naval Postgraduate School in 2002 and continued working in the Ministry of Defense. Was sent to diplomatic mission to Georgia in 2004 as Estonian Defense Advisor to Ministry of Defense of Georgia. And in 2006, as chargé d'affaires, acting as a mission, he opened the Estonian embassy in Tbilisi. August 2008, Mr. Lahtein left. I imagine that it wasn't August 8th. Exactly.
No, it was 3 days before, unfortunately.
Okay, but still, he was awarded a special order of honor by President of Georgia because of the appreciation of his very hard and very intensive work in defense building of Georgia State. Then he served in Minsk, in Belarus. Also in 2011, 2012, he was advisor to National Security Council of Georgia. And also, he lectured in the Estonian Academy of Security Studies. I think he continues after present lecturing there. So he is expert in Estonian defense issues, not only Estonian but in defense issues as such, including different directions, including cybersecurity. And so, saying now, we are happy to listen to learn the experience of Estonia as a state, small state, how Estonia builds up its defense system, which, as I was told by Gary, they started from zero practically, so it's an encouraging case for us to listen. And the second speaker is further the Director of Science Cyber Security Bureau of Ministry of Defense of Georgia. Unfortunately, I have no his CV, but he will talk about himself. He will tell you about himself in the beginning of his presentation. We start first presentation with Mr. Lahtein's presentation, but before that, I wanted to introduce the subject. I think that defense sector has, as I said, several challenges related to the Estonian problem of defense is the size and geographical location, challenges coming from Russia, and there are several types of challenges not directly related to hard security topics, but also to soft security topics, environmental vulnerability, for example, nuclear plants, which is related to their neighborhood, maybe their neighborhood with Russia, or the pipeline which crosses the Baltic Sea and goes very close to Estonian waters, territorial waters, and propaganda, Russian propaganda, cybersecurity, and so on, so on. There's lots of challenges related to this first group of challenges. What is Estonia's approach? Of course, for the small state, is the integration approach, first of all. Estonia tries to secure its own security through alliances, through cooperating, first of all, with the Baltic region, with Baltic states, and with Nordic states. Nordic-Baltic cooperation is well-known formats. There are well-known formats of cooperation. And further, Estonia became member of NATO, became member of European Union. European Union has a soft defense possibility is also important to provide security of the country. And of course, it is member of OECD, of different other lots of international organizations. It tries to secure its own environment to defend itself through these international alliances and its integration with international community. Estonia also, this is very important, membership of the bodies like NATO or Nordic Council, etc. It's related to the contributions and obligations, and Estonia is very good in this. So Estonia is always fulfilling its obligation. NATO 2% spending, you know that the European partners of the NATO are very hesitant to pay for defense 2%, and Estonia is fulfilling one of the leading countries in this. I think
Only 5 countries.
Only 5 countries.
Only 5 countries.
So I hope the Nordic countries are basically those who pay, right? Norwegian,
Greece, Turkey, Poland, Estonia. I think these are
And
the
US.
And US as well.
good. And readiness to join international military operations. I see that we have the same readiness in Georgia about this. So I will go very quickly through is leader in cybersecurity. It has become leader in cybersecurity, which is very not an easy thing that such a small country ensured energy security and regional cooperation. So it worked a lot in order to ensure its energy security and to diversify energy sources, and also to create its own energy sources. And that, but is it enough or not for security of Estonia, whatever Estonia does for the moment? So let's see, and we will listen from our speaker how Estonia makes, what is the Estonia's position in this regard. So I will go through this. The strategic thinking is very important for whole regional actors in this region. Regional solutions, of course, go through NATO and EU policies, but not only through different other engagements. This plays, of course, important role. And I would like also to say just few words to show this slide showing that Estonia doesn't count only on international cooperation or even its own defense system. Officially, Estonia defense capability is not big. It's quite small, very efficient, strong, but very small. And population is keen to support, to defend their own country. And the Estonian Defense League is a very big organization. I looked to data. It's 13,000 people and 25,000 volunteers working in this, trying to defend their country. Including all organizations that attached to this Estonian Defense League. 25,000 well-trained, so citizens who are not military, but they're prepared to fight, and they're well-trained. This is very important, I think. So this is all I wanted to say. Just I want also to show small, very interesting material. So you can see here. Just a second. This is not what I want. I'm sorry.
It's in the background.
It's not. Just a second. I will just go in the session.
No, it's running in the background.
No.
It's running. It's there.
No, I know this, but I wanted also to show. See, see that. I'm sorry, I didn't say anything about you. But this time, okay. You see, what is also for me, it was important to notice that Estonia tries to build, and I wouldn't say that Estonia tries, but Estonian government created environment, business environment for defense industry, and quite important, quite well developed. They, if you look to this, don't worry, please take it. For me, it's okay. If you look to this material, which I found on internet, of course, thanks to internet, you'll see that what kind of things Estonia produces. For example, this kind of tracks to carry tanks and other blended vehicles, armored vehicles, etc. Different type of weapons, producing even these speedboats for army needs, of course, producing this kind of amphibian vehicles, and you look at different type of ammunition. You see that even small Estonia, which is 1.5 million population, right?
1.3.
1.3 million population. It produces the ships, military ships. So I think it's really impressive that you look what kind of vehicles they produce. Of course, not everything is produced from the. Not all components are produced in Estonia, but basically, this is very well developed industry already, and it develops further. And also very interesting video that Mr. Lahtein advised me to show. This is about this kind of not this, okay.
More?
I think it should be this one.
No, more back.
Okay.
It's...
Why it's... I think it's this one.
No.
Where is it?
No, it was playing all the time, that's why.
Okay.
Okay, more back.
Okay. Yeah.
More...
This one was...
Yes, that's one. Yeah. That's the right one.
This one?
Yeah.
You see that, what is the name of this vehicle?
It's Milram, company is Milram, which is producing unmanned ground vehicle. Which...
You see what kind of armored vehicle is produced. You can put any kind of cargo there.
And it's Estonian production. And we sold it, now the Estonian company Milram has a deal with the United Arab Emirates. And Saudi Arabia is also procuring them. So this is an unmanned vehicle that you can use in any terrain, and you can mount it whatever on it, basically. It has 2 tracks, and you can put whatever on it.
Well, they also produce this kind of drones and different other equipment, which is quite expensive and very useful for army needs. Let me go to the presentations now, and should you find your presentation down here? I think it disappeared. So let us. No. Is it on the background? Yeah, that's fine. Mr. Lahtein. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so floor is yours, and you can start with your presentation.
Thank you very much for introducing me. I'm overly happy that I can be back in my beloved Sakartvelo. Well, Kakha gave me too much credit, I should say, because I am not the expert on cyber defense. So, but of course, everybody, when we talk about Estonians, everybody thinks that we are expert on cyber.
Like we say that every Chinese is a kung fu expert.
Absolutely, same thing. What I'm trying to because if I look through the syllabus, which says what I should talk about, then basically you should make yourself very comfortable, because we will not leave these premises for 2 days if I want to discuss all these subjects which was written. But I'm trying to run through the Defense Forces presentation, because to talk about the Estonian defense, you need to know what the Estonian Defense Forces are. And
No.
No, it's all good. We have, of course, the historical background, and as Georgia, also Estonia has been a fighting through history and conquered many times. We have had Danish guests, Swedish guests, German guests, and the Russian guests. So, and the German guests stayed for 700 years, so we picked something up from them. Nevertheless, it's been a busy place and hard to defend. But this is a different development phase, so let's go through that. And what we learned through our history, that Estonia will defend itself in any circumstances and against any adversary, no matter how overwhelming the adversary might be. This is a thing that we learned hard way at the Second World War. Before the Second World War, through the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact, and that's how well-functioning Estonian First Republic was totally destroyed. Our elite was killed or shipped to Siberia, so that's destroyed most of Estonia, and basically the same thing happened here in Georgia. Of course, many years before.
Yes.
So that's, but if we're talking about our approach to our defense, which means that responsible for defending the country is not only the Ministry of Defense or Estonian Defense Forces. Every citizen is really responsible. So we have comprehensive approach, whole government approach, a global defense approach. And it's based on 6 pillars. And first one is military defense. Okay, here is all the bodies who are dealing with it. And military defense is, the objective of military defense is to ensure sufficient capabilities to guarantee a nation's sovereignty and repel any military attacks. The Ministry of Defense and Defense Forces are responsible for managing the organization of military defense, and the Estonian Defense League will also be involved in the process. And as Kakha already mentioned, the Estonian Defense League is a voluntary organization, where people are volunteering to fulfill their defense obligations. And of course, we can't only rely on military defense, we have to have a civil sector support to military defense. The defense force requires the support of the civilian sector to ensure the military defense of the state. The objective of civil sector support is to ensure efficient activation and operability of the military defense without causing major damage to the upkeep of civil society. The civil sector support to military defense shall be ensured by mobilization, the utilization of state assets, contractual relations, and compulsory encumbrances. And of course, it's not only enough, we have to have international efforts as well. The objective of international activities is to provide Estonia with favorable conditions that would, if necessary, ensure the rapid and effective application of collective defense or international crisis management measures. Here we're talking, of course, mainly about NATO and European Union. And also all the international other venues, I mean United Nations, so on and so forth. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs is responsible for coordinating Estonia's international efforts in the area of national defense, supported by the Ministry of Defense and Defense Forces. And of course, international efforts need also that we have internal security in place. And here, the objective is ensuring internal security to ensure the living environment that is secure as possible. In the event of military attack against Estonia, the institution responsible for ensuring the internal security shall continue fulfilling their duty. When there is an attack, we still need rescue services function. We still need Estonian police function and doing their duty. So that's the responsibility of the Ministry of Interior. And of course, the 5th vital column is ensuring vital services. Vital services shall mean services that are deemed inevitable for tracking the functioning of the state and society. The objective of ensuring the sustainability of vital services is to ensure functioning of civilian society and in any emergency situation. In the event of military attack against Estonia, vital services shall be contained in accordance with the same principles and with the same organizational frameworks as would be applied under peacetime circumstances. And here, of course, the responsible ministry is Ministry of Economic Affairs and Communications. And now the sixth column, which didn't exist before, and it's through the recent years, we have discovered that it's very important with the comprehensive approach to have also a psychological defense. Why psychological defense, you ask? Well, psychological defense because if you have all the tools and you have all the manpower, all the technical, but there is no will to fight or defend Estonia, then it's all in vain. It's all for nothing. So the purpose of psychological defense is to prevent panic, the spread of hostile influences and misinformation. In the age of information, that's a very important part of defending the country. Thereby ensuring continued popular support to the state and its national defense efforts. Psychological defense involves the development and safeguarding and protection of common values that are linked to cohesion and security of society. Psychological security is expressed in a society's ability to resist hostile influences and in Estonia's capability to defend its security interests. And government of Estonia shall organize psychological defense on the basis of psychological defense plan. And the responsible body is state chancellery for that. And this is rather recent developments in Estonian defense. Now, and of course, we can't do it without data collective defense. Here is Estonian Defense Organization. The military side of it, of course, is Chief of Defense is the commander. And here is all the organizations. As you can see, we don't have a land forces command anymore.
Do you have military staff?
Yes, defense staff.
Defense staff?
Yeah.
Because Georgian constitution.
Here you go, we have HQ of EDF. This is a working body for the Chief of Defense. And it also commands all the other bodies here, but as you can see, we don't have land forces stuff because it's mainly, we are mainly land forces. That's why we have under the HQ of EDF, we have 1st and 2nd Infantry Brigade. We have Air Force and Navy, of course, Infantry Brigade. These are, peacetime, they are mainly conscript training battalion. There is only one fully professional battalion, it's Scouts Battalion, where everybody is professional, starting from the officers, ending with privates. And their task, of course, this is a battalion where we are sending our soldiers to international missions, military missions. We are not sending conscripts to military missions. This is, and as you can understand, Estonian defense of Estonia is organized through conscript service and through the reserve army. Well, it's quite self-explanatory. We have Special Forces Command, also we have Military Intelligence Center, we have Signal and Staff Battalion and Military Police, and then Support Command. It's kind of same in every little country, maybe. So this is a peacetime command structure, and it's wartime equivalent as closely as possible. Because in wartime we will have 1st and 2nd Brigade fulfilled with soldiers, and these are fighting units. And of course, as we said, we have defense league, which the military task, the commander of defense league, and they will get from the chief of defense. They have their peacetime task and their military and their wartime task.
So they will fully subordinate to
Quite right.
the military chief.
All the soldiering activities, they are subordinated to the chief of defense. Now, missions and tasks. We have as you can see, a defense forces peacetime units. Central task is to prepare for military defense by training reserve units and managing their readiness. Every spring, I just came back from exercise, spring storm exercise, which is every spring, every year, there is an exercise where it's like a test for the conscripts who are going to the reserve. They have been trained together as units, and in the end, the spring storm exercise, they are producing battalion from them. They put it together, and this is an exercise, field training exercise, where they are training to prepare for them to train together as a battalion to do military tasks. Which means they will be 1 year after the graduation from conscript service, they will be hot reserve. Which means if something happens in a time of crisis, they are in 24 hours, they are back in barracks. Of course, as they just came from military service, they are the best prepared. And gradually, of course, year after year, they move.
How many of them you have for the moment? I'm sorry for I mean, the people ready to serve in army.
Well, altogether we have quite adequately produced reserves. We have now for 2 brigades. 2 brigades altogether.
Around 10,000 people.
Something like that. The real number, of course, it's secret as always, but something like that. So, there is a documentation, legal documentation that tells exactly what we should do during the peace, crisis, and wartime. But I'm not going into more detail on that. We have armed forces, of course, army, maintaining readiness and preparedness for mobilization, preparation of wartime combat units, as well as combat support, combat service support units, prevention training for reservists and reserve units, and development of defense capabilities, and participation in international operations. And of course, here you can see the 1st Infantry Brigade and 2nd Infantry Brigade. We have APCs, we have now infantry fighting vehicles as well, CV-90s, it's Swedish made. We have artillery and anti-tank capabilities, also air defense capabilities.
You have both patriots?
No, we have Mistrals. But there has been talk about patriots as well. Yes. We have Air Force, but Air Force, as we joke about the Estonian Air Force, we have not air, very little force. Because there was, years ago, we entertained the idea of procuring a fighter wing for all 3 Baltics. And when we added up the numbers for the budget, we discovered that we can close everything else, also the Ministry of Defense and everything else, if we want to have 1 fighter wing for all the 3 Baltics together. So that's it. That's basically the same crazy idea to buy an aircraft carrier. And we can go all live in the aircraft carrier. That would be it.
If I may add,
I didn't present Ekke.
You all have my I'm Ekke Nomm, I'm the head of the Estonian School of Diplomacy, and in a way I'm also Kakha's partner in organizing or facilitating these seminars. But the point I want to make, in addition to Mari, is that Estonia being a NATO member, it was a negotiated decision in cooperation with NATO that Estonia should not start building its own kind of air force.
Sure.
And we try to find our niche to be useful for NATO in other areas. So for example, minesweeping is something Estonia specializes in, and where actually Estonia has even played a leading role in some NATO exercises. So it would be a waste of Estonian and NATO money if we were to build an Estonian big air force. Instead, we're doing something more specialized, and NATO is doing our air police.
That's quite rightly so, because the more important thing that our Air Force is doing is air surveillance. We are producing air surveillance picture for NATO bodies, which are guarding our airspace. And this is a Baltic air policing mission handled by different NATO nations. This is 24/7 ongoing thing. There is 2 airfields in the Baltics which are capable of sustaining it. One is Šiauliai in Lithuania, another one is Ämari in Estonia. And of course, as we Estonians, we know Ämari is much better than Šiauliai. But we will not tell that to Lithuanians. Nevertheless, our Air Force is producing a picture, air surveillance picture, and sending it to NATO. Also, the fighter planes and pilots who are guarding our airspace, they will get the direct orders from Rammstein. There is a Air Force command for NATO units. And of course, we are producing also air traffic controllers, because these pilots need to talk to somebody on the ground who are seeing the radar picture, and also. Of course, very, very important thing is host station support, because these pilots and technicians need to be taken care of, and we have very good facilities here in Ämari, very modern facilities. Also, we have few training jets, L-39 Albatros, which are being used to still upkeep some of our fighter pilots and to upkeep the training of air traffic controllers. And in tactical level, we have also tactical air controllers who will go with units, and they are on the ground eyes for fighter pilots if we need air support for our ground units. So this is mainly what our Air Force is doing. Our Navy, as you said already, we have a very small Navy indeed, and this is mainly mine countermeasure ships. I do remember there was a time when we had NATO accession integration talks, and Paul Savreux and Frank Boland, for some of you maybe know, who are from NATO international staff, they came in and said, looking at our budget, saying, well, you have such a small Navy, why you care? We have a lot of waterways, of course, and we have to ensure their security. And of course, we have huge amount of mines in our territorial waters, from the Second and even from the First World War. Still there. Interestingly enough, we got really good maps from German Ministry of Defense, even from the First World War time, and we didn't get anything from Russia. So the minefields they laid in somewhere there, where exactly?
And they have the maps, but they won't give them?
Well, they say they both things. It could be both things. So, and that's the one thing that we have everyday hands-on experience. of demining the waterways. And this is a thing that we are mainly doing now with sonars. And this little robot can go to the mine with the explosive there and explode it. And also we have mine countermeasure divers. This is very interesting job also to do. So. Okay. So, and we have special forces. They are doing whatever the special forces should do. And Defense League, which, as you can see, is active members are 16,000, total members 25,000, and we got a huge boost, people volunteering to serve after 2008, of course.
Yeah.
And after
Ukraine.
After the situation in Ukraine.
And by the way, in 2007, some of you might remember the bronze soldier thing in
the cyber
in Ireland. So, so after that, the numbers in the Estonian Defense League went up like this.
So this is and you see, it's very important to know that yearly basis we are taking conscripts to service. Not more than 40% from the pool of people. So not every young man gets to be a conscript in Estonian army. Of course, a lot of them have poor health. What can we do? A lot of them are sitting too much at the computer and not doing enough sports. This is a universal problem, I guess, in every country. So we are looking more and more to the female side of our society, because the girls are better trained. To guys, I don't know why. They are in better health.
And they're less lazy.
They are less lazy. So starting from 2013, they can voluntarily, they've been voluntarily joining Estonian Defense Forces conscript service all the time, but from 2013 they can go in which unit they want to. At every unit. So, and right now there is a campaign in Estonia for girls in secondary schools to say that go and serve, see how you like it. They have possibility to quit in 4 weeks' time, I guess, if they think it's too tough. But the one thing, of course, it's made very, very clear: there is no plastic and big machine guns for them, so they have to carry the same machine guns. So we are very closely looking Norway, because in Norway it's mandatory for all
Population.
For all population, so it's gender neutral in Norway. And it was even interesting when they did a study and they asked in gymnasium and secondary school female students what they think about serving, and the answer was, "Why you ask? Do you think we are less citizens?" So, but Estonian girls are not in this level yet.
But they serve with male conscripts together in the same unit, so they don't have any special.
No, the same conditions for everybody. They can even go and serve in special forces if they make a cut, but the tests to special forces are really tough. Physically very demanding. So this is Estonian Defense Forces, situated the 1st and 2nd Brigade, as you can see, 1st Brigade and 2nd Brigade, and some units. These are defense regions. North, East and South are the main regions. The other regions are like support regions. Of course, you don't have to be the military mind to see where that attack is coming. So, and here are the Defense League territorial units. As you can see, the Defense League, that's the benefit of Defense League, because they are the locals. They know every stone, every corner of woods. So this is their main task.
Who finances them?
Estonian Ministry of Defense on 98% financing, and then 2% is their own financing. So this is a conscription. Annually, as you can see, 3,200, and compulsory service is from 8 to 11 months. 8 months is a typical soldier private without any specialization, and 11 months is more advanced. Also, junior leaders, sergeants, are going 11 months. And it's interesting to know, now we jumping into the cyber side, that we have also starting from 2013, we started to entertain idea to have a cyber defense conscription as well. So our staff and communication battalion have a conscripts who are going through the basic military training. Well, at first they should go through the testing that they have cyber skills or IT skills, and that they will have permission to handle state secrecy. And then they are going through the basic military training, and then are going to the special cyber defense training. So we having so to say, we are preparing ourselves for cyber defense as well. As you can see, credibility of defense is conscription service and reserve forces principle, professional officers and NCOs, voluntary defense organizations, and retained territorial defense. That's our main pillars. Operations planning, this is not time and space. This is our conscript training. And that's not fun. Oh, this is, we have 2 types of annual exercises. Next year there will be mobilization exercise where we are mobilizing the whole brigade. And of course, we have also allies participating in our exercises. Spring Storm last year, we had a lot of allies participating, and this year we had 15. It was rather interesting to see that we had tanks, Leclercs, Leo 2 German tanks, Challenger British tanks, and Abrams American tanks. So that was the first time our conscripts could even see the tank attack.
So these tanks belong to Estonian forces or
NATO forces who are stationed in Estonia, or stationed close to Estonia.
So they participate in Estonia.
Oh yeah.
So military training.
That's what I wanted to show you. This is international cooperation, international operations, where we are. This is a very, very important part of, because we're there with allies. For example, in Mali, we were with French, because they asked.
There were 150.
See? And these are our main international operations.
So French were Swiss.
Okay, defense planning that I'm not going into very detailed. Oh, this is our defense budget. As it said, it's now it's more. It's 2.17 even %, and on top of that, is host nation support that we are providing for allies who are stationed now in Estonia. Very important is to have this allocation of funds, that personnel, money going for personnel is not more
How
than
much?
26%.
In Georgia, it's 70, 60%, 65%.
This is really bad,
Yeah,
because then you don't have.
they're going to
any money for procurement, investment, and not allocation, because you need personnel, you need operations and maintenance, but to build up your defense forces, you definitely need procurement and investments.
Excuse me, do you have any separately the percentage on cybersecurity? How many percentage?
But this is coming from there, so that it's not separately from the budget. One thing that we are doing now, and maybe I'll talk about it later, is we are establishing Estonian Cyber Defense Command under the Estonian Defense Forces. And this is a very demanding task, of course. Money we will find, but the main thing is to find personnel. Okay, cooperation. Oh yeah, that's what you discussed. We have 3D cooperation, of course, Nordic defense cooperation, bilateral and multilateral, but main thing, of course, is NATO, European Union, and United Nations. Allied presence in Estonia. This is very busy slide. Baltic air policing mission. As you can see, we have right now, I think we have Spanish planes, assurance measures, and now I want to talk about the more important thing. It's enhanced forward presence. This is us after Warsaw NATO summit, and which means that there is a framework nations. Brits are in Estonia, that's why we have Challenger tanks. And it's French and Danish companies participate also. And framework nation for Latvia is Canada, and for Lithuania is Germany. And all the other flags here are participating nations. And for Poland, of course, it's United States. In Poland, there is a United States brigade, framework brigade. In Baltic countries, it's battalion battle groups.
In each country?
In each country, yeah. Which means that when we had a field training exercise Brimstorm, under the 1st Brigade, there was enhanced forward presence battalion subordinated to the commander of 1st Brigade. And they were doing for war fighting exercise, together with our troops. So when I was taking part of this exercise, in battalion level and lower level, communication were in Estonian. In brigade level, communication was in English.
And all Estonians understand English,
Oh,
military.
Yeah, sure. You can't fight with allies if you don't understand what you're talking about, basically. So, enhanced forward presence is not training, and it's not operation, it's a mission, a task to deter, and if deterrence fails, defend, which means that they are in Estonia with live ammunition, with everything stocked and ready to fight if needed. Of course, one would ask, what would battalion do? Battalion battle group, it's not much. There is a divisions and divisions of forces in other side of the Peipsi Lake and Narva River, but
Your battalion is 1,500
approximately. But it's boots on the ground, and that ensures that we can fulfill our initial self-defense capability until the allies will show up. This is a summary, and I've been talking too much. There is, of course, I can talk the same amount of time about defense league, but I would think that it's better to go and to have discussion. So the one thing which is very important, every twice a year we have a survey. We started in 2000, a survey about Estonian security, about Estonian defense forces, so on and so forth. And I think I have it in English also, if somebody wants, we'll get it later on. And this survey is very encouraging because when we started, as you said already, we started from zero, and the attitude towards Estonian defense forces and soldiers generally, because of the Soviet inheritance, was very negative. Everybody wearing uniform was seen like occupant or even worse. And the attitude has changed through the years dramatically, which means that now, if we look the civil society trust and we measure it, then the most trustworthy in Estonia is police force, 92% of population. Then Estonian defense force is 75% of the population trust Estonian defense forces, and defense league 71%. So it's really in up three, and it's very important.
How much is in charge? Confidence in charge. Yeah.
Well, that's I don't find
I'm
it
just a little
here.
bit joking. because
Yeah, I
in
know.
Charge is confidence is 90% or something like this, which I don't think that in Estonia is the same.
No, I don't think so. And of course, confidence in NATO is the same. But cybersecurity, as I said, we have even in our defense league, we have cyber defense unit, where guys who are in daily basis working in big IT companies, weekends they put on military uniform and they come to train to conduct exercise against cyber threats, using their knowledge, what they have in daily based work, to use it to the defense country against military threats. So, and of course, cyber terrain is the same kind of terrain in military thinking as the usual terrain is. The fight is different, but it's the same kind of military terrain for us. So that's why we are really putting our thoughts and our efforts to build up a credible cyber defense for Estonia. We have already a fame, one would say, internationally, that Estonia is very much cyber country, and we have NATO cooperative cyber defense center of excellency in Estonia. Of course, as I said already, a cyber defense unit in defense league. We have NATO cyber range and cyber hygiene initiatives. So there is many things that we're doing, but also where there is a strength, and we are small countries, so we're flexible. So there is also a weaknesses. As I said already, there is never enough personnel, never enough. There is many international initiatives that we are very active on, and when they ask, or our friends in Georgia ask, if you can send somebody over to talk about it, and then we're looking at saying, well, they're all occupied, there is nobody to send those.
And we were waiting 2 years to get this.
See, so it's okay, but I will stop now, and we'll talk to somebody.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Mr. Lahtein. So we've got quite comprehensive idea about the Estonian defense system. And we come now to cybersecurity. So these topics are related. Of course, as you very well said, that cybersecurity field is also a battlefield. And especially it becomes more and more important in this regard, because cyber security is practically the same as air defense now. Everything can be destroyed or immobilized through cyber attacks in the country. So what is important, why we call the Cyber Security Bureau deputy head here, because we know that Estonia and Georgia cooperate in this, and Estonia is leader, of course, in this area, and the Georgia tries to build up its own cybersecurity capacity. We know that Georgia suffered also cybersecurity attack in 2008 It was like artillery preparation. Before the aggression, there was cybersecurity attack on Georgia's governmental side. And so we experienced the same problems. Of course, that is important. The Georgian Cybersecurity Bureau cooperates with Estonian colleagues and gets substantial intellectual support from them. Let us ask to Mr. Chilashvili to tell how Georgia copes with these tasks, so developing its own cybersecurity sphere.
Okay. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I will introduce myself. I'm Rondeli Chilashvili, as I represented the Deputy of Cybersecurity Bureau. It's representative of public law under the Ministry of Defense of Georgia. So our responsibilities and our coverage is defense field, defense sector, which is the biggest part of our infrastructure in the country. So there is another organization, Kakha agency under the Ministry of Justice, and they are covering public sector. So we are two organizations, and now touch cybercrime because you are in the Ministry of Interior responsibility. So they are under the criminal police, the cybercrime division. So we are two organizations. We are covering this field, and just to brief overview what is the structure of the cyber domain in Georgia. So another biggest umbrella organization is the cyber coverage and the strategy and policy maker for us is the crisis management under the Prime Minister office. So this is political umbrella organization which is coordinating our actions against the Ministry of Cyber. So this is we are two organization. Our goal and responsibility is to ensure the cyber defense and cyber security infrastructure in defense field and to prevention, and also we have active and proactive services, which is active services is the intrusion detection and prevention, and another proactive services are like audit and information assurance for the whole defense field. So this is briefly about our organization. We are established already 3 years. We are a new organization to say, and then the wake-up call was, as you mentioned, 2008 for our country. So Georgia started thinking about building our capacity. So in 2013 we started in MOD with the Estonian side. So it was one visit with the minister visit to the Estonian side. So Estonia started cooperation with us, sharing on the cybersecurity policy level, exchanging experience between the countries. So we had a chance to receive some recommendations and some information from Estonian MOD side. So we started there. In the beginning, we created this organization and we started basic cooperation on the bilateral level with the Ministry of Defense of Estonia and our Ministry of Defense. So then came the substantial NATO-Georgia package, which is a huge package, which is covering one of the activities, one of the part of the package is cybersecurity, cyber defense. So Estonia contributed through the NATO, their help, and Estonia is the main partner of the completing and achieving the goals under the substantial NATO-Georgia package. So we have expertise from their side and their package. Then some information classified, so I will elaborate some deeper discussion about the part of the packages, but we had this huge support. So I will go through with Estonia what we passed already. So the biggest recommendation to the Georgian side was the developing the capability under the Ministry of Defense field. So we started there. Then also I had was mentioned the cyber range. So on a yearly basis we have this year already. 2 months ago we received the help and the trainings on the just information assurance level and on the technical level also we have. So we had the chance to get access to the cyber range platform. For non-technician people, it's quite hard to explain, but it's typical range, but in cyber field. So it's quite expensive and it's quite a huge platform to develop from ourselves. So from Estonian side, our technicians have the chance to have access and training and exercise in real cyber range atmosphere. So it's to say briefly, it's simulation of the whole infrastructure what we have in the real life. It means these banks and file system and solutions. So I don't touch people this technical thing, but it's great we have this help from Estonian side. So annually, every year we are receiving as a part of the package and as a part of the bilateral cooperation, the help and support from the Estonian MOD side and Minister of Finance. Of course, it's important on the pressure for all countries, so they are paying demand for that. Also, I will mention that the Nordic Baltic, the cooperation, so Estonia is a provider of the Nordic Baltic help from the Nordic side and the Georgian side. So we are waiting also big support from the Nordic countries. That is a very important part of the cyber domain in the part. So Nordic countries are quite advanced in this field. So it's great that we will have a chance through Estonia and we will have Estonian to receive this support. It's not money only, it's experience sharing and expertise sharing. So this is the greatest part. So there is a lot of things that maybe you can forget something, but on the regular basis, also worship exercise. So it was not mentioned, but it's CCD, COE's biggest exercise based on the local cyber range platform, but it's a huge exercise, and we had the chance to get access this year to worship exercise. It's for the pure NATO members, but with the Lithuanian help and support, we had the chance, our technicians, we sent 3 technicians to participate in that exercise, so we got a chance to try this platform with not NATO member, but with a full member of students. We have cyber coalition. It's also the initiator of this exercise. It's pure military exercise, but in the cyber field, it's every year, annual, it's in Darko. So we're sending our own people, and it's a more the tactical level than operational level exercise. So this is pure NATO Georgia cooperation. Also, we are contributing our resources and we are receiving knowledge from the NATO side. We have training also. So briefly, I prefer to have some questions and then these are in the discussion or the
Well, I'm glad that you mentioned the cyber range because cyber range is playing very, very important part of having the capability to train the people.
Yes.
Well, when you think about range, you think about some field to do things, but cyber range is really a big room full of servers. It doesn't look sexy at all. but the thing that you can simulate with that is brilliant, because how you learn to defend your country, the whole cyber system, without exploiting your country's cyber system. It's only the way to simulate it in a cyber range.
Yeah, in technical it's very well developed, so we have a chance really to see it. It's great platform, great solution, and some other, for example, there is some great solution from the Google, from the Cisco, but it's impossible to rent or buy it because maybe it's half of our movie budget, annual budget. So it's
very expensive.
Yeah, it's very expensive because it's software, it's development, plus it's hardware. Hardware is like maybe $10–15 million to have hardware. So we're happy. Maybe we can have a chance in our year to get access to the product. So
It's very popular.
yeah, it's very popular. USS also, but we don't have any chance to get there.
Oh, great, thank you so much for this overview. And first word, what I got in my mind is the confidence. I just thought about the importance of this confidence between Estonia and Georgia, because it shouldn't be as easy for Estonians to share their experience, their methods, their knowledge to some other country which is post-Soviet country, and nobody knows how many enemies agents work in this country, right? For example, but I understand that there are lots of.
But we are not Soviet as well.
Yeah.
But we are not giving the power.
I know. But let's see that what a strong confidence should be between Estonia and Georgia, and how wonderful this is. First of all, we start with this that I appreciate the main thing I appreciate this trust and confidence that exists, and this is wonderful. Now, let us go to questions first, and Ekke will intervene as well, time to time, right? As I understood. You have no basic information.
Yeah.
Yes, please. Please.
So first of all, let me introduce myself. I'm Nana Pitsolani, working for the Ministry of Energy, advisor to the Minister, and very well known with the TFSI's activities. So thank you for being here. And my first question goes to Mr. Lahtein. At the very beginning of your presentation, and thank you for the very interesting one, there was mentioned the cooperation with other ministries.
Yeah.
Just yesterday, the Journal of Foreign Affairs published the article regarding the cyber attack connected with this WannaCry virus attack. And the most vulnerable field was discovered the agriculture and the healthcare system. So how the relevant ministries in your country are cooperating with the cybersecurity agency or Europe, but the one. And another question is mostly when we are talking about these cyber attacks, we are connected it to the concept of terrorism. But however, in the past, most of the largest cyber attacks were financed by the
State actor.
Yes, yes. I want to be rude, however, but the suspicion is on state. So how Estonia is going to deal with this factor? Because to deal with the state and to avoid, for example, the attack from North Korean is much harder than from terrorist groups. So how do you deal with that?
Well, thank you. That's very good question. Well, to say, and you touched the nerve here, because what we are trying to do with Ministry of Defense and with Estonian Defense Forces to create a cyber command which will take the overall responsibility of the cyber defense of the whole country, comprehensive defense. Because right now, all the ministries have their own cyber securities. Well, it's run by the state agency, which is called State Information Agency, RIA, State Information Agency. And we are working very closely with this agency because we have our own service. Let me see. National service, which is a dealing with imminent cyber attacks and cyber threats. So these two agencies, one military, another one a civilian national, they are working together. If any kind of state agency, and not only state agency, even if the large companies, the private sector, if they will have a attack, they will be attacked. This is the help that we are providing from the state.
They suffer from this previous attack? From that,
There were banks who were suffering from the
But it's regulated already in Estonia, so private sector also goes under the government power.
Yeah.
There is no separation legal in our country. Georgia is separation between private and government.
So this is the only way you can fight these threats, because it's like a basically it's like a firewall around your country, and if the private sector is open, then it's no use. Yes, please.
Yeah, thank you for your presentation. I'm Kirill Sugar, representing Georgian think tank for the Students Revolution. We're mainly focused on energy security issues. And my question goes to Mr. Lahtein about what kind of cyber risks do you face in energy sector, and what kind of mitigation measures are you planning for that?
I think that goes for you.
And the same question, yes, for our
Yeah.
Georgian partner as well. Yeah.
It's a SCADA system, it's not one system in the world,
Exactly.
so everybody has this problem. Okay, somebody has the Siemens solution, somebody has all Soviet, I want to mention the countries, so we know these countries, all Soviet SCADA systems, which is very vulnerable, there is still Windows XP machines there, so it's a very dangerous area and it's biggest challenge. So nobody can manage right now because there is two very vulnerable parts. There is engineering part, there is software solution. So engineering part is not following the update and the security of the old solution is not equivalent like new solution. So this is the biggest problem right now. So it's not solved nowhere. There is some updates, some helps, improvement from the Siemens and some standard providers, but still there is really old hardware, software there, and nobody knows how to deal with it, so everybody is thinking how to solve it.
We are doing a lot of international cooperation that way.
Yeah, it's a really biggest challenge for the.
Is there any legislation requirement for that? Are you going to work on it regarding the energy security? Because one of the most vulnerable things in line with the cybersecurity or cyber attack, this is the phase when the old equipment is changed by the new one, new technology. So we have the same in our back. We have these back-to-back stations and new substations in this when the computer is controlled, you open and close the gates. So if you are aware, I'm not aware. So is there any development in line with the legislation? For example, the state transmission company and dispatch sector, will be maybe obliged to even create at least password for their staff, or are you cooperating?
It should be, it goes under the general information security, information assurance. So every organization, we are covering from the defense field the information assurance policy. So Ministry of Defense is a publisher of the information security for the whole defense system. It's a public sector, it's a different ministries that they exchange agencies developing the information assurance policy for the, but they are delivering as a recommendation. We don't have the recommendations in the country and not in the organization. Only it's obligation. So every organization needs to follow these recommendations, but usually all recommendations are connected to budget and finances, and it's one recommendation can cost a few $1 billion expenses for the next budget. So this recommendation to follow the general law and general information assurance standards, it means that country and our state need to invest a lot of money to develop this security finance. So there is not only passwords. There is a lot of hardware and software requirements to continue. Georgia started with the license to Windows implementation, and our governmental organization is now a licensed official Microsoft Windows servers and desktops, but it's not enough. There is a lot of software, renewable software, not Microsoft one, but everybody is using the broken Acrobat. And the Word. Acrobat is both vulnerable application to hacking.
Yes.
It's not all Acrobat. Everybody is using not Acrobat being Acrobat. It's just simple example. I mean that it's step by step building security. It's not just buying one hardware and plus change the password for everyone.
No, but did Georgia suffer from this mass attack from?
One attack?
Yeah.
No. No, because it's updated. It's really funny that because everything is licensed, all maybe some the WannaCry is not dangerous for the private, for the just normal citizen, because it's connected to the domain system for the network solution. So it's more dangerous when there is closed network, and so one infected computer can infect inside the network. So that's why I mentioned there was we have a licensed Windows server and we have updates. So it means that it was the most vulnerable PCs which were not updated since March or end of the February. So everything was not updated in that time. It has a risk to get this vulnerability. So everything was updated because we have everything licensed. So we updated. So Georgia never suffered.
If I may add point exactly here, Estonia was also practically not affected by this WannaCry thing, and this is due to the fact that since in Estonia in general we use a lot of various e-services, which means they're based on the electronic ID card, and these things do not operate with old software, and it means that people kind of automatically upgrade the hardware and software. You know, you don't have to order them to do that. And well, if you notice that National Health Service in UK suffered a lot exactly
Because that's why
because
they
they're using
all standards which can't, they are not optimized for the military because they have old operation system. They are not updated well enough, and they don't fulfill all the systems that the militaries are providing to the war.
You touched also the legal side of the cyber defense. You are familiar with Tallinn manual of the 2.0 now.
We're waiting. But it's recommendation.
It's a recommendation, right? Please.
Hello, dear friends. I'm working for the State Office of Georgia. Though it's not my direct field, I'm very much interested in cybersecurity. First, I would like to express my great appreciation of the very much useful information you have provided with us. And I was very much pleased when I heard that this Estonians is giving us so substantial support in this field. So thank you for it from my personal view. So let me ask two questions to Mr. David Chilashvili, because I'm really much interested what's going on in Georgia in this field. As far as Georgia is striving to EU integration, we get obligations to bridge the gaps that we have in legislation and make the respective amendments in order to have the legislation that is compatible with the international standards. We all agree that only documentation amendment does not make any sense if it is not followed with relevant mechanisms and relevant practices that are put into the practice. Therefore, my first question is, if I'm not mistaken, in 2014, we got, according to the legislation, some obligation that we should elaborate international standards like ISO, if I'm not mistaken, in cybersphere also, along with other spheres. And I'm really much interested, what is our progress in this field and what's our objective, what's our status quo? And my second question is, I don't remember exactly when, but I will come across on TV news that we are going to have cyber reserves. It was some announcement, I'm not sure about the details, but as far as it sounds so much challenging and promising, I also would love to ask you what's going on in this aspect also. Thank you.
I will start with the reserve because also we have our. Yeah, it's a little bit different. It was announced 1.5 years ago, but there is also the starting. We are going to do that, but there is new the reserve doctrine and the reserve law need to be in place soon. So there is discussion right now, so it will be what I know from the official MOD perspective that there will be a reserve system. It will be different. It will be more voluntary basis reserve system. So, and we are planning to continue this. It was before by the legislation. It was obligation to have a reserve system in the place, but it will be professional reserve now. So there is one field that will be voluntary basis, professional reserve. So we're going to continue the development. So we cannot oblige everyone. We need to work on the propaganda is bad word. But we will try to motivate the young professionals in the different fields to have to work for the country and to serve to the country in this field because they don't need to fight with the Russians. They can fight from the computers, so they can do a very important job. I don't know the timeline. I think that we can start cyber reserve in the spring of the next year. We hope. But we are planning to do this. There is nothing to do practically. It's the legislation part, so it will be approved. New concept of the reserve system. So we will do our part with National Guard. So National Guard will initiate the reserve system and will take part of the cyber reserve. So another thing is about the ISO standard. So we agreed that also by regulation we have ISO 27001 as a information security standard for defense, with also data exchange agency has for their own So we are implementing step by step, by policy also, but it's connected to the budget. So we have some package already implemented in the defense field, the information assurance policies based on the ISO standards, and we are also developing making the audit of the information security in the defense by the ISO standards. So even NATO is now, NATO has no standard right now, so NATO even deciding right now to have one common standard for all NATO countries. But the most popular standard, ISO 27000, there is also NIST guidelines, so the United States are helping us to implement the information assurance by the NIST standard, so it's also achievement. We have 5 years the bilateral US-Georgia plan, but there is cyber one thing, so we have plan already with them. So we are doing this. So it's in the law, but also in practice. So we are doing every year. We are developing new policies, new standards. It's connected again to the budget, so we can put the whole standard in 1 year because it requires one small rule in the policy can cost $25 million or something like this because it's expensive. Step by step, we are developing this now.
Thank you. One more question. So as far as I'm auditor, I'm interested in specific details. So let's assume this ISO is 100%. What is our progress for now?
I don't want to say by percentage. It's, we started with the critical. So there is some policies, there's some standards you can implement without the budget requirements. For example, passport policy, firewall configuration policies by ISO standard. So we started. I don't want to say the percentage. I will avoid this answer because I cannot say right answer right now because there is different fields and ISO is very complicated to implement because we never had this kind of standard in our country. But
saying how many years you need to implement?
we don't have so many years. We have by obligation we have more 2 years because it's also responsibility by SNGP NATO package. So also Estonia is helping us. That's why I mentioned they are helping less because we are more advanced now. So we don't need some basic trainings anymore, and just in the practice we need some knowledge from the NATO member countries how to implement standards in place because the MOD is different. The MOD is not civilian part, so they have different hardware. It's not just computers, so there is a lot of communication devices.
Thank you. Nomm,
Thank you. Nice to see you back in Georgia. I wonder, so many things happening in Estonia in this cyber field. Your ex-president has invested a lot, still continuing. So maybe you might even contemplate to rename your country with these brands. But more seriously, what's the result of this new campaign, electronic citizenship, and what big future plans the state has, so that we're well aware? Where are you heading to in this process for this big PGO?
This is a very good question and it's very interesting and totally out of my field of knowledge.
Yeah, I know.
But I just happened that months ago I was on a holiday and I stayed with friends and they had friends staying and one of these guys was responsible for e-Estonia campaign. So long story short, he said that it's going quite well. There is a lot of e-citizens who register.
E-residents.
E-residents, sorry, yes, e-residents, not e-citizens, e-residents. And there is a lot of interest to start businesses in e-Estonia. And we got quite the boost after the UK's decision to step out from European Union.
By the way, my corporation UK corporation partners are also now e-residents. And the logic behind the e-residency is that you do not have to come to Estonia to set up your business in Estonia. So you can apply for e-residency, you will get your e-residency card. It's not a citizenship. it's not also a travel document. So if you need a visa to come to Estonia, you still need a visa. But you can have your e-residency, you can register your company in Estonia and do business inside EU with your e-residency.
And with this card,
What are the conditions for getting this residency, for obtaining this?
I haven't checked it to detail because it's meant for focus of foreigners. So it's not a practical use to me, but it's meant for foreigners who want to get access to our e-services and do business inside EU without having to come to the country to fly and do the kind of, you can sign documents with
this card.
e-residency from the other side of the planet. You can do all the banking from the other side of the planet using this.
So when you are paying also your taxes.
Yeah.
No. By the way, no. The taxes are paid when business is done. So if business is done in Estonia, then you pay your taxes in Estonia. But if you
Not personal tax because you are not.
yeah, this is corporate thing.
But it's basically the same.
Yeah, it
looks like my ID card, but it says it's e-residency. And you can do, because of the ship, you can do all the online services.
Actually, we have chip in our cards too. So in the future, most probably we will be able to use for the same purpose. It was at least
It's the idea.
We can use for the security purpose,
I understand that the key to using our ID card is the security certificate. So they are developed to such a level that they are considered to be safe.
Yeah.
So this is what makes maybe our ID card maybe a bit unique. Because,
And it's updated all the time.
It's not as secure.
Yeah.
It has a minimum
The next
problem.
question.
Thank you, gentlemen, for your remarkable presentations. I hope we're not exhausting you with this endless question about cybersecurity. But my question would be too broad, perhaps, for the both sides, Georgian and Estonian. Well, I understand that cybersecurity is something that is related to luxury, and small states not worth it that much. But in view of the future of warfare, that is hybrid warfare, and the future of NATO, which considers cyber security as one of the essential pillars of its policies because of the future of the artificial intelligence, robotics, etc. And considering that there are many researches, and not only researches, but many assumptions that the future of the hybrid warfare will not happen in the terrain, but somewhere in the cognitive and virtual domains. So my question might be something like this. Well, how much do you perceive these threats, there is cyber threats, are perceived, how much do you perceive the threats are dealt adequately in the agendas of the MODs of both countries? In agenda, I mean something like conceptual documents, and in terms of Georgia, I think that is national strategic review and different conceptual and strategic documents. I don't know in case of Estonia because I'm not a great expert in that. Could you elaborate more, because it's not only short-term, I'm not asking about short-term decisions because it is related with budgets, but somewhere in the longer term, how much do you consider it is important for your countries, and how much do you rely on them and your future?
To my understanding, your question relates to whether there is an official strategy.
Well, no. I mean, there is strategy. There is strategy, there is agenda, and agendas are foreseen by different strategies, like the National Strategic Review in case of Georgia, like military doctrine or threat assessment documents, etc. So, how much it is dealt today, and if taking a broader look in future, like 10 years down, or 5 years down, 20 years down, how much do you consider you will step up your work to deal the same?
I think to Arthur Clarke and this kind
No. Well, I do understand the question, but how many hours you have?
Pardon?
How many hours you have? Because
Well,
this is,
yeah,
this is
in the
a
long
very
term, yes, I understand. The reason I have tried to emphasize
Okay.
that
There
because
is,
of the
in
future.
Estonia, we have
Kind
a document, which unfortunately it's for official use only. And this is cyber policy within the area of government of the Ministry of Defense from 16 to 26, which basically talks all about the things we want to do in the next 10 years, ensuring the cyber security of Estonia and cyber defense of Estonia.
Under the umbrella of the NATO.
Under the umbrella of Ministry of Defense, together with all the NATO allies. And this is the approach that we want to take all together, all the NATO nations together. But here in this document, there is a specific strategy what we're going to use. And of course, this is all together with national defense strategy, with the national security concept, having in mind the national defense development plan, and cybersecurity strategy from 2014 to 2017 that we have. And of course, along with cybersecurity strategy of European Union from 2013, and cybersecurity framework of the European Union. And of course, together with NATO, cyber defense policy from 2014. So these are all the documents that we have in mind when we are developing our cyber defense. All the things we have to do, of course, if I'm going through this paper, where we are describing our strengths, our weaknesses, our possibilities and dangers, and then of course here is a objectives for cyber policy and cyber policy principles, which tells a lot, and it's like to-do list, the things you have to do, and you.
The question is more like, how does it work in practice? And we understand there might be challenges.
Of course, the most important part of this document is the implementation plan.
Yeah.
Then the cyber command, establishing the cyber command is the most difficult, but the most important decision to do. And that's exactly what we are doing. The main, as it was mentioned already, the main problem of defending the cyberspace of our country or NATO as such, as large, is that there is so many different actors, and the cybersecurity is not centralized. So that's the one thing that we are trying to.
But what about Georgia? It is centralized, right?
Centralized in what? It's not centralized, it's intergovernmental, okay, but private sector is centralized.
No, but within the government, are there different services?
We are two organizations. It's centralized, we can say. We have one political umbrella, crisis management, and that's all. We have national strategy, but it covers all the governmental sector. So we cannot have private sector because that private sector. So.
But can you describe what do you mean under it is decentralized means that each ministry has its own cybersecurity unit and it acts
there is a,
to its own policy? Or?
No, there is a state information agency, which is a overall responsible of all the ministries, all the state bodies, and their cybersecurity.
And set standard.
Yeah, set standards and
audits,
managing incidents, all this. And there is a military side of the house who is doing the military defense or the cybersecurity. So, what we are trying to do now is to put, because of the threat, to put the military command all over the cyber defense of the country.
How about Georgia? Do you consider
probably increasing the budget or resetting the priorities in 10 years' time.
Regarding budget because
No, there is, yeah, I see.
it depends on the country's state's economic development. So if Georgia will be richer, we will have more money. It's logical.
No, I mean, what's the distribution of priorities within the MLT
For example, for next 5 years, you
or
have
10 years' time?
budget projections or you are rating every year how much you will get from.
I think it is the
We have a
PPCF
program
system.
budget, but
Development plan should be there.
we have for she was asking about 10 years.
Okay.
Because
You have
we don't know, because also it depends also Georgia will be in the NATO, Georgia will be in the EU, it can change our cyber dimension. So it depends on the development also. If we will become in 10 years the NATO member country, it can change everything around it.
2%, what helps Estonia in defense planning, and this is part of defense planning, is the constant 2% that we can rely on. Which means that it's much easier to plan for the future if you know that you will get certain amount of money from the budget.
Yeah, it depends on the projection of GDP.
Yeah, that's true, but you know that you can rely on 2%. And of course, all the other ministries are very jealous about it.
Well, I think there is a question, yes, please, 2 questions.
If I might just make a very interesting discussion, I think this is
Name yourself, please.
Stuart Dalton from the EU monitoring mission, but it's like a meeting of small nations here actually, because Estonia, Georgia, and I'm an Irishman, so none of us are voted for our offensive.
You look like the ordinary Georgian.
You must get that a lot.
I've been here too long.
So we are.
Exactly. But I was just thinking of this lady's point here about the future, and I'd be interested in asking David, because of course the key now is to wage war without going to war.
Right.
And this is done through the cyber system, so you can wage war and never actually fight. And this is the future,
And you can make a lot of damage.
absolutely,
And you just want
without ever firing a shot. So I'm just wondering, from your wide knowledge in terms of cyber, do you think that in the future it won't be about size? Because there was a lot of discussion about defense, but the best form of defense, of course, is offense. So from the cyber point of view, I'm wondering, is it the case that any country can now be quite powerful? You don't have to be an enormous country. I think we've seen only very recently, for instance, in the US, that the US was penetrated quite easily before the election.
By China.
I mean, by whoever.
By
It was penetrated in a cyber manner. So the point I'm making is that that the pitch is leveling in a way through cyber.
It's educating people also, technically educated. What is the biggest problem right now? Georgia is not investing in education right now in the cyber field. So we have big lack of the educated young generation coming with basic knowledge of technical field. So also it's percentage. When country is small, there is small percentage of the specific type of the. Also, IT knowledge is not everybody can go and be a cyber hacker guy. So it requires specific talent and specific skills. So when country is small, you have smaller amount of people. Giant hackers right now, 10,000
Well, it depends on the
hackers.
size of the country. If it is Israel, for example, you
or
will
even
have
Finland.
anyway a lot of.
Israel is not only country. Israel is,
Yeah.
it's really hard to compare.
Or Armenia too, for
Yeah,
example,
but
it's very strong.
Why we talk about state actors? Because it takes only one kid. Well,
It's not anymore.
it takes one kid with enough skills to.
It's changed.
Well, but yeah, sure. If it's well defended, that's okay. But to go to blow up the power plant.
It was the Mossad and the CIA.
This is to come to this point. I mean, if you look, I mean, the poorest and most backward country in the world, North Korea, is kind of doing damage to US. So
Cyber.
Or
exactly
cyber, yeah.
Exactly.
It's also on the knowledge of the user. Always the weakest part is the user on the other side.
Exactly.
And the election was by US, it was not just a huge hacker company, it was phishing email, just somebody did. That's all. So
That's all it takes.
it's very easy. Right now it's easy. You are not protecting and you are not educated enough and you click some not clickable links, so you can be very easy infected. So no antivirus can help you and nothing can help you.
Did you notice yesterday that Vladimir Vladimirovich practically acknowledged that patriots might have penetrated, U.S. cyber systems?
Right, exactly.
Yeah. So
The next question, please.
Well, okay. Thank you very much, first of all, for the very interesting presentations. I'm George Antas from Defense and Security Committee of Parliament of Georgia. So my question goes to our Estonian guests regarding the information on defense and how your country is defending itself in information dimension, because the cyber security and informational security, they are of course very closely linked to each other, but anyway there are two different fields. And you mentioned how important it is for any nation the national will to fight and the pillar from psychological resistance. So because the best tool to harm the psychological and the willingness to fight is to use the information of psychological tools and means. So,
Absolutely.
So what's your vision, what's your country's vision and maybe strategy to protect its informational dimension? Because I strongly believe, you maybe agree that there is no strong cyber security without the information security.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you for that question. It's very important here that, as I said, this is one of the 6 pillars that holds national defense. And our approach, of course, is, organizationally, we have under the state chancellery effective body dealing with it. Also, we have strategic communication office in the Ministry of Defense, also in the Defense Forces HQ, and all that they are doing is trying to counter the information loss that we will get from not so friendly countries. It's a very complex question because there has been entertained different ideas, starting with closing some TV channels. But it's modern technological age, you can't really close information channels, then you should close the internet. That's it.
May not be able to actually shut down the YouTube.
Yeah, well, or you close Facebook.
Are Russian TV channels blocked in Estonia?
No.
So
The propaganda.
It's been discussed, but we kind of thought that if we are able to provide reliable information ourselves to our people, and the people are able to distinguish what is what.
In Russian language?
also in Russian language.
Also in Russian language. But in a way, on a more philosophical level, I think Estonians and also, by the way, Georgians are more immune to these things coming from, where, because of our historical experience, because quite often I'm just amazed how naive and stupid some people in old Europe can be, not understanding what's going on well, I won't go into more detail.
But at the same time, I can say that, for example, in Georgia, I noticed that the new generation is not aware about things that we know from Soviet times. And they are more vulnerable to this kind of propaganda.
Did 2008 teach them anything, or?
No, 2008 is interpreted in different ways. And
I know what comes
Russian propaganda makes less from this.
Kakha is talking about the snowflakes. The youth that we call snowflakes. This is a generation of youth who are very aware of themselves, putting themselves in a pedestal, and everything else is not relevant. And I believe almost everything I get from social media. So these are very vulnerable for example, a psyops.
But I think the Stratcom deals with that quite well.
Yeah.
And Estonia should try to popularize it as good as well as possible.
We are doing a lot with Stratcom.
Yeah.
And there is a NATO Stratcom center in Riga, in Latvia. So it's a lot of good
and
stuff.
it's in the United States, right?
Yeah, yeah. So this is a organizational approach. But Ekke was absolutely right saying that the main thing is to give a good education to your young people. Very popular, in a matter of fact, among the secondary school is basic military training. The reserve officers are the teachers of basic military training. It's not the Soviet thing, but what was Soviet time. But because it also gives you not only the basic military skills what to do in the booth, but it also gives you the historical background, and it teaches young students to be patriots of their country. And if you have this kind of mindset, it's very hard to change with a hostile propaganda.
However, it said that during the war, it's no matter who wins the war, it's a matter whose story wins.
Yeah, hearts and minds. It's always hearts and minds. And of course, you were absolutely right. Human brain is most portable. You can put the bulletproof vest on, and you can put a casket on, but you can't protect the brain.
Issue. I read one scientific article proving that for human brain, exactly, there is no difference between a story, as you say, so invented virtual truth, and the real truth. So whatever you touch, material truth, say. So there is no difference. The brain gets it as equal, something equal. So finally you make your analysis according to both. To
Virtual picture and real
yes,
picture.
real picture and invented picture seen on TV, on the internet, etc. So this makes you vulnerable.
Depends on brain.
Yeah. I think this is a very good place to stop now, and we can reflect our virtual world now inside our brain.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
That's okay. I think it's okay. Never worry.
Good service. Yes. Yeah. So they actually came to turn up my brain from those things. It was
And we went to superpass as well. Yes. I have my own